And happy Thursday, everyone. How's it going? I'm Steve Leahy. What is going on? How is your Thursday going? How is your whole week going? Hopefully, really, really good. We're going to jump right into it. We're going to finish up the 57 tin that I started on Monday. And yeah, I'd like to get that done today so that I can get that cleared and shipped out next week. Yeah, sometime next week. I'll talk more about the clear and everything in a second. But yeah, I figure we'll jump right in. So awesome. James, what's going on? I have my comments all ready to go now. So we're just going to swap over and get things going. So here is the tin. If you were here on Monday, can I show you what all this is about? Yes, I can. All right, so if you're here on Monday, what I decided to do was I have these little, well, let me go back to last year. Michael McClung sent me a bunch of these really cool snuff tins, and so I painted 6 of them up, and I only have one left of this one. It is on the site if you're looking for it. And so I thought that was fun, so I ended up getting some Altoid-like tins that are blank and all black, which are fun. So I decided this year I just paint up a few of these. Patty, what's up? Gary, what's happening? This tin belongs to Gary. So so this is what they look like. And what I did was just took them apart. So I just opened up the hinge on the back, on the inside, and pulled the cover off. And that just let me set it up to paint. Now, this is where we got out. So last Monday, I didn't have a very good tin top holder. So I made a jumbo tin holder, which is much better than last Monday's. So this thing doesn't move anywhere and it's really secure. So I love that. Actually during the week, what I did was I also, since I got another request for one and I want to make sure everyone has one that wants one, I ended up doing another one. This one still needs, this is cleared, but it still needs to be sanded and polished, buffed and polished. But this is all back together. So one of the things, and actually Gary, I'm glad you're here. So one of the things I did with this one is I actually cleared the bottom too. So the bottom normally comes powder coated like this, but I cleared the bottom. I think on all of these though, I'm not going to use the cleared bottom, and for one reason really only. When you close it, it has these little, kind of bump outs that make, actually friction kind of hold the top on. Those two little things are going to get just destroyed with opening and closing it with the clear. So I instead ended up deciding that I'm going to clear the top and leave the bottom satin. That way it's actually still functional. It'll always look good. So I think that's what I'm going to do with these. And that's what I got. So yeah, still got to buff and polish this. And then once Gary's is done, I'll clear that and get his buffed and polished and they'll be out. So again, if you want the very last one from last year, the Scully tin, this one is on the site. And if you do want any of these, make sure you use the code. The holiday code will get you 30% off everything. So that's kind of get you guys caught up. Dean, you're working a late shift. Oh, all right, Dean. Thanks for jumping in, though. Dan, what's up? And Patty's working, too. This is great. I love it. All right, so that's where we're at. So let's finish this up. So what I did was, I haven't done anything on this one since Monday because that's what we were talking about doing. So we got a couple things left to do with the airbrush, and then I'll do some paint brushing, and then this one will be set. I'm pretty sure I can finish this one with you guys. And again, I've pre-cut all these stencils to kind of make things go a little bit quicker as well. So I'm just going to line up this one. The next step, so I've done everything pretty much up to the point where I'm going to put the fades on the body. So I'm going to line this up. This isn't a good spot. And what I was super happy about, I got clear on my thumb too, and paint underneath my fingernails. I got everything going on today. I was really excited, and it was not intentional, but I'm super happy it is. These tins are not, I keep calling them a tin, but it's not. They're made out of steel. So these magnets all work on them. So I have a whole box of these, I'm going to keep calling them tins, but I have a whole box of them, so I'll be able to do all kinds of different things with them and maybe even put it on as a, not really a regular item, but it'll be an item in addition to like the 543s. So generally, they're going to, because I have to clear them and I want to treat them painting wise like a 543, but they're a little bit more expensive because I do have to clear them, and that's, you know, a bunch of extra work. So, and I realized on the pinned comment I spelled welcome wrong. So welcomer, more and more welcome. All right, jump right in. Also, anyone who was here yesterday, thank you for jumping in for the premiere of the new Open Studio. That's going to be the Shelby Mustang, which is a blast. Simon Carter, what's up? I'm doing really good, Simon. Thanks, buddy. How you doing? Yeah, so I'm excited to do the razor blade painting on the Open Studio, and that premiere setup is going to work out really well. It was fun being able to be here with everyone while they're watching it for the first time, and being able to answer questions and field comments and stuff. So I think I'm going to do the Open Studio as a premiere every time now. I just have another copy here just so I can use it as a reference photo. And we're ready to go. Ready to go. So again, this is just a shading for the body so that you can see the chevron from the Chevrolet in the middle obviously is there. I'm not going to mask that off or anything. I'll just repaint it. It's more of a marker for me right now. You know, where does it need to be kind of thing. Because there's no way to really, I mean, I could cut an adhesive mask for it, but I'm going to have to paint on it anyway. So it's a lot of extra work for not a lot of gain. If you guys have any questions, just let me know. And Simon just got a TH2. Simon, that's awesome. Yes, it's a killer brush. Very, very cool brush. I guess you call it a brush, airbrush, because it's kind of one of those things that's kind of in between an airbrush and a paintbrush. I mean, an airbrush and a spray gun. So our buddy Tony D, I think, has laid claim to that other 57 tin I just showed you. However, I'm thinking I might do one more. Because the response on them has been really, really good, and rightly so. I mean, it's a crazy killer price for them with the sale. So, you know, if you're interested, keep an eye out because there may be one more, maybe two more before the holiday. I have a ton of pictures of not only this car but the other car that I used for the other one. So I have lots and lots of views of the 57, which is fun. Okay, so that's good. I got to do I cut out the bumper down here, so add a little bit of fade on that. Yeah, Marge has a brand new TH2 in the box, and she hasn't used it yet, and I'm so tempted to just grab it and break it in, but that's sacrilege. You don't be the first to use someone else's new airbrush. Oh, thanks. Yeah, Simon, when I was thinking about it, I mean, there are a few cars that are like completely iconic. This is certainly one of them. So when doing like a generic kind of thing, not generic, but you know, something that I think needs to appeal to a bunch of people, it's so easy to do this car because it is so like 1950s. All right, so that is good. That's that. The next thing, oh, I missed it. I have more to do on this. Put this back for a second. So there's a neat shadow on this headlight, coming off of this headlight, the fender part of it. So I want to grab that. And I've already pre-cut it, so it's ready to go. But in order to get it in, it's actually darker than what I just sprayed, so I saved this piece here. So I'm going to put that back in, and then move the magnets over to that, or some of them. Keep that clean. And then right here, I've already pre-cut this out. So this is the next part down here. Did I pre-cut it out? I didn't do it all. What do you know? I have to do a little bit of surgery on the fly. There we go. That's fine. So there we go. So pull that out. Yeah, Simon, it's insane. It is insane. The TH1 and the TH2 were just, or are just, they're Iwatas, so they're amazing. But yeah, it's just a great setup. And I'm cheering you guys today with coffee. I have super dark, super strong coffee today. I bought some really, really heavy duty stuff because I needed a little bit of an extra boost. Okay, so this shadow of this light now, I can throw this in. And this kind of, I've cut it all the way out over to the fender, but it doesn't come out that far. So that's just kind of getting it out of the way so that I can fade into it. There we go, that's good. The other thing I've got cut out on this is the inside of the car. The pillars and the rest of the stuff needs to be a little bit darker. The rear view mirror and that kind of stuff. So there we go. One thing I did do that I didn't mention to you guys after the fact, and I think I might have said I was going to do it on Monday. When I was done with painting on Monday, I hit this with UVLS satin, the whole thing. And what that does is it protects the edges from getting banged up and just protects the painting overall. However, if you watch the Open Studio next week with the razor blade thing, I kind of came up with something or started using something a little bit different. And I'm actually extremely excited about it. So that whole Intercoat clear essentially is designed to protect the painting in between, layers. So I do it a lot on the backgrounds because I don't want to, it's easy to like scuff the edges and damage them while you're working on it, especially if it's a painting that's going to be around for a long time, like the Harley painting. So what I do is I spray it with like the background with a protective clear, and that'll keep it safe, keep it stronger. And I've been using UVLS, but I realized that I have this stuff here. So this is Otterborn Sealer, but this is the clear version of it. There's no pigment in it. It's just the binders. So it's 6000 transparent sealer. And this stuff is a beast. It's just as strong as the Otterborn Sealer, the regular, the gray that I use, or the whatever, the black or white, but it's clear. So it was awesome. So ended up spraying this whole thing now, and it's pretty much bulletproof, which is really nice. So little bonus for you. All right, so that's good. That's all done. That's done. That's done. So I think I just got to put in the indicate the grill, and then I can start hitting it with the paintbrush. So yeah, we are going to get this done. The grill. So the grill in this one, in the other one, you can't see. Well, you can a little bit. Let me grab it again. So from this angle here, it's just that little area right there. Can you see that? Is it? I don't know if it's the exposure isn't enough. There we go. So you can see the little bit of a grill that kind of pops in there. So I just painted that with the paintbrush. I didn't cut anything out for that. I just went for it. With this one though, there's a lot more of that grill apparent. So I could just use the paintbrush, but a lot can go wrong with that, laying it out. So I'm going to do my airbrush trick with that to get that to be in the right spot. So what I do is there's the vertical lines and then the horizontal lines. And what I do is I use the knife and then I cut each one of them out. So this one's vertical. So when I turn this around, you can see all the little cut marks in it. And then I have the same thing with the horizontal cutouts. The horizontal one's a little bit more dangerous, but I'll show you how I adjust for that. All right. So we'll line this up. Again, in the beginning, it's always good to line it up perfect, but now you really have to. Especially with something like this, because if this isn't in the right spot, this isn't I'll just fix it type of thing. This is I got to respray the black and put these in again. There's no real fixing it if you screw it up. So I want to make sure this is really in the right spot, and that's good. So I'm going to drop these in first. Magnet. Oh, what happened to my comments? Show me the live chat. There we go. All right. Good. So just throw some magnets on there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the white. and it's reduced a lot, but it's not reduced a lot for these brushes. So this is the Micron C. So for the opaque white, I have this reduced 1:1. So it's reduced 100%, which is a lot more than you'd reduce it for some of the other brushes. But for these two brushes, the B and the C, the Microns, this is pretty thick. All right. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of spray it directly down onto those cut marks. But what I want to do to get this nice and clean, I'm not going to go just back and forth, because what will happen is then I'll get a bunch of underspray. So I'm going to actually spray almost like each line. I'm going to take my time with it and make sure that I don't have I'm going to try to minimize the underspray, that spray that gets underneath and makes these lines foggy. Flip book trick always blows my mind. It's such a simple idea, but I've never thought of. Oh, that's awesome, Simon. Yeah, it's a great way to do it, and especially for like painting in details, like to leave it on there and just keep flipping it. You can get stuff exactly where it needs to be. It's pretty cool. So just kind of painting each one in. Again, I'll show you how I deal with underspray, because again, these lines aren't going to be the final lines. This is just in order for me to be able to see it with the paintbrush, to put them in the right spot. Sometimes you can get away with it. Sometimes you can spray this in and everything, it's bright enough and it looks great and there's no underspray and you're done. But that's pretty rare, for me anyway. There's always some cleanup that needs to be done. These lines are going to be too thin for the ultimate, the finished product. But again, this is just designed to get these in. And as you've seen, when I go to check this, I want to make sure that it doesn't move. So I'll move some of the magnets off to the side so they still hold it. Because it's difficult to reline this up if it's not. That's perfect. Came out great. In fact, yeah, that's almost good enough to leave. That is a huge bonus. I know, though, that this one, because these cuts are so long, there's going to be underspray. So even though these came out great, this one here, I know I'm going to have to do some cleanup on it. So, I mean, I might be able to pull it off, which would be amazing because that saves a ton of time. But from experience, I'm not going to count on it. And I'm using the little bumperettes as the lineup point. So I'm just ignoring the grill itself because I know I lined the last one up on these bumperettes. So if I line this one up on the bumperettes, it should be right. It should be right. It's not guaranteed. I have Night Ranger stuck in my head. I had the 80s channel on earlier, rocking out to 80s hair bands. All right, so same deal, except with this one, I have to hold a lot of this down as I work. So, because if I just leave it like this and I spray this, those are all going to kind of move around. So I got to do them in little bits. And again, this is just to get that reference in. So again, I'm doing about about a half an inch, maybe a couple centimeters at a time here. Exactly, Simon, you got it. And so yeah, 80s Night Ranger was a favorite, and then a little bit later than that, I was really, really into Mr. Big. So, which is probably what I'll put on after we're done when I go back to painting, because I'm working on all the 543s for Monday. By the way, if you're hanging out on Monday and you want to win one of those 543s, you have 4 more episodes, 4 more Mondays before the list resets. So get your suggestions in. The list, because we have a lot of regular customers on Monday night, the list has pretty much dwindled down to about 7 or 8 regular people who haven't won yet. So that your chances of winning are good. JC, what's up, buddy? And this week again, I went through all the suggestions, and I immediately grabbed 5 of them. So I didn't even have time to look for, you know, the trending one, which I'm trying to do. Trying to do one that's like whatever's super hot right now. But I immediately had 5 of them, and I'm like, okay, well, not do that. All right, so now we hold our breath. Let me see what happened. Hopefully it's going to be okay. See how much work we have to do. Not much at all. See right here, up in here, see how it's foggy between those two? That's kind of what I'm talking about with the, and there's a little bit there too. That's underspray. So the lines are cut too close to one another, so one will pop up and then paint will get underneath. So that's okay, that's fine, because I'll show you how we're going to take care of that. That overspray is really subtle. You can see it really well because it's on black, but it's really fine paint. So here's what we do to get rid of that. I grab the cutout with the grill. This is the grill, the cutout I use for the black. Line that back up again. And essentially I'm just going to spray overspray, which means painting really, really lightly on the areas that kind of fogged out on me. I'll show you what that does. Leave it and give it character. I know, but I'd know. That's the problem, JC. Yeah, Mr. Big is great. I love Mr. Big a lot. I love those super bands, you know, like, I don't know, I just, oh, I almost dumped that brush. That would have been bad. Living Color is also another huge favorite of mine. So I listened to that the first album almost non-stop. All right, so this is just the same black. It's the 1 to 10 in this, so it's pretty light. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to really lightly go over this, and I'm just going to go over it until that overspray disappears. Now, what I am doing too is I'm darkening the lines I just put in, but again, as long as I can see them, even a little bit, there I'll be able to do the paintbrush strokes on them and put them in the right spot. Damn Yankees too. I like Damn Yankees a lot. Perfect. That's it. Let me show you what that looks like now. Yay! That's it. So it takes out the overspray, but I can still see the lines. And now I can just, you know, put them back in. I can paint. Am I done with airbrushing? I'll look for a second. I think I am. Yeah, this side of the car is really bright, so there's no fades on this side. That's good. I still see it. Yeah, I'll get it though. It'll be fine. Def Leppard, yeah. Oh my gosh. So I started playing drums. Like I learned how to, took my first drum lesson in 1980, and I know I was but a mere lad. So there you go. So I started taking drum lessons in 80, and I ended up being best friends with the guy who taught me. In fact, he's my oldest son's godfather. Just a great drummer. In any event, so we would every week, in addition to the regular lesson, we would learn a song. You know, I would have to get a song and transcribe the whole thing and then learn how to play it. So that whole Pyromania album and Boston's first album, that's basically how I learned how to play drums, between those two. I specifically remember Rock of Ages, like when I figured out how to play Rock of Ages with the cowbell and everything, the intro, and I'm like, yeah. So I love it. And Van Halen too. I love Van Halen. All right, let's, I think we're ready to start painting this thing. Yeah, let's do it. So we're kind of done with the airbrushes, I think. So what we're going to do is Oh, and Rat, the first Rat album. I listened to that nonstop too. Let's turn on that. Now I've made, after, this is great, after watching the premiere of the last Harley painting, I realized a few things, like the palette cam needed to be bigger. So there it is. You can see it now. I want to take drum lessons from my uncle. He told me I was a jokester, didn't take shit seriously, so we left it at that. So the reason why I play drums, I mean, I love playing drums, but the reason why I started playing is because everyone in my family played something, and drums was the only thing that we didn't have. So I started taking drum lessons. Like I said, I don't regret it, but... All right. Let's start with, it doesn't matter what we start with, either white or black. It's just, again, this is monochromatic, so it's just going to be white or black. So I can start with either. And with this, I just really just kind of start on one side and just kind of fill in all the gaps and move across the painting. And when I get to the other side, I'm done. So there's no real, like, you can bounce around, you know, you can do all kinds of stuff. It just, for me, it's, I like, at this point, I like to just kind of get areas done and move on. I don't know what he told me that. Still wondering, I don't do drums anymore, and I'm not a funny guy, so I failed them both. Aw. And, to anyone and everyone who was here last, or not here, but on YouTube last night with Timothy John Luke Smith's feed, he's going through a bunch of stuff. He's moving this week, and it's crazy and it's insane. And the generosity and awesomeness of his regular viewers and all of his viewers yesterday was awesome. You could tell it helped him out a lot. So you guys are amazing, because I hate moving, and I know what that's like. So the paint from the hairy brush is a lot less reduced for the airbrush, right? Yeah, I'd say so. Although no, I'd say it's probably it's 1-to-1, but sometimes like out here, I flood it out. Like, this is what I was doing, a 543, needed like a really thin black. This is probably like 20-to-1, so it's probably the same. But it's just, it's harder to judge, because when you palette it on the brush, you're not really keeping track of exactly how much is in there, reducer to paint. But yeah, I'd say it's roughly the same scale. Yeah, Tim is a great guy. So yeah, it was inspiring watching everyone step up and take care of him yesterday. That was great. Yeah, so that was a great question as far as the reduction with the paintbrush. It is, you know, it's variable, but I'd say on average, it's a little bit thicker than what goes through the airbrush. But again, that's not set in stone at all. And again, I talk about this a lot. So for anyone who's new and is getting into this, it's you generally try to not, or you reduce as little as possible. So you reduce down to whatever you need for the paintbrush or the airbrush, and that keeps the paint working the way it should. So again, the way I get around over reducing this stuff and making it binder poor is that this is going to have a massive clear coat on top of it. It's going to lock in all these really thin layers that aren't going to adhere very well right now. Yeah, Simon, that's why I hesitated, because I mean, yeah, it is sometimes thicker than what goes through the airbrush. And sometimes it's the same. So I would say there's more variability in the paintbrush reduction than there is in the airbrush. With the airbrush, I only really use, with the Micron, I'll use like one part paint to 10 parts reducer, and sometimes 20-to-1 if I'm doing a portrait, or 1-to-20, and a lot of 1-to-1. But with the paintbrush, it's all over the road. Like I said, I don't really keep track of the exact amounts of reducer when I'm paleting the brush, so it could be anything. So the other thing I'll do is, I won't just do all the black. I won't like do the black all over the painting. I'll finish an area. Like I'll grab the white now and do all the highlights that are bouncing around on this, so that I can finish this bumperette and just move on at this point. So again, these are designed to be done faster, like the 543s, and the price reflects that. So again, Gary's getting this. Gary already purchased this, and he owns the first Pyrrole Red series painting, which is also a 57, and which is actually this car too. So the detail that he got on that painting is a lot different than the detail that's on this one, and that's just, I basically with the Pyrrole Red painting, I spent all the time on it. It wasn't done until it was done, kind of thing. But this one is a little bit different. It's going to have a lot of the detail on it, but not the same level, and that means that this thing is not going to take me the same amount of time. So works out well. Yeah, it's hard to get the real, the real feel for them in photographs or on the lives or anything. They do look a lot different in real life. And that's good. I like that too, because just it's nice that you get something a little bit different than, or a little bit more than what you see, in the photos. Oh, thanks, JC. And a big part of that too is you lose there's a cohesion when you reduce something. So when you see these live, you're seeing them in real time, real life. When I take a photo of them, when I put them on the website, you're kind of zoomed in on them, so you're seeing them as if you're like really right on top of them, but they're really designed to be looked at from about 12 inches away, and so that makes a big difference when you get it live, because I want you to get your face right on it, but for the most part you're not burying your face in them all the time. You just kind of look at them from a normal viewing distance, and that's why they kind of pull together the way they do. So yeah, just popping in these little white highlights where they need to be. I will do the grill in a second because that's fun, but I figured I'd just get started and warmed up a little bit with some of these details. As my amazing friend Gerald Mendez says. I can move this now. I don't need the cutting mat, which you guys can't really see anyway. So I did it again, this is classic. My dad overbuilds everything, or overbuilt everything. It's just a hallmark of his over-designing that he did. So I got these 4 jumbo magnets on here. So it went from not sticking at all to like barely being able to move this thing. So I don't know that I did myself any favors there, but oh well. All right, let's do the grill. I'm just going to get it out of the way. Yeah, JC, the highlights always add everything to it. Like that little section right there looks so much nicer than the rest of it now, since it's all kind of pulled together. Oh, that's a good cup of coffee right there, boy. Extra spicy. Not spicy, but dark. All right, so how do I do this without screwing this up? The other thing too is, look, oh, I don't even have it here. Where'd it go? I ran out of FBS. This is the end of the roll. I'm bummed, and I don't have any. I mean, I do have a little bit left of the bigger roll, but I seriously need to buy more of this. Bloody hell, the bloke's out. Simon, tell your dad I love him. That's awesome. Thank you. I don't want to do this? No, I don't really want to do this. Okay. So what I need to do is I need to make sure the ruler doesn't damage the painting at all. So I'm just going to, you guys can't see it off the bottom, but I put a magnet down here, and this is just one of the copies. So I'm going to put that there to kind of protect the painting. Yeah, JC, I have a serious coffee problem. All right, so now we got to get this to work. So this is, I love these things, and I've talked about these things on Tech Tuesday. This is the cutting rail from Art Tool, and it's one of my favorite rulers. So it's an inking ruler. It's got that little rubber bumper on the back to lift it off the surface, but it's also got this little raised edge, and it really does save your fingers when you're cutting, and it doesn't move because of the rubber edge. So it's kind of an all-purpose ruler, and I have it in different sizes. This is a 12-inch version of it. So anyway, this works really well for this paintbrushing line thing, and you guys have hopefully seen me do this before. So when you have a ruler and you have a pen, you just put it down on the surface and guide the pen along the ruler. So you can do the same thing with a paintbrush by lifting it up a little bit so that the ferrule is making contact. People don't look at you weird in the summer drinking coffee. Folks do, especially at gas stations. Yes, Simon, exactly. Oh, that's awesome, Simon. Yeah, I drink I drink my coffee black, and so that pretty much precludes any other form of coffee, meaning like I really can't drink iced coffee because iced coffee black to me tastes like old coffee. So I end up drinking hot coffee all year long. So there is no, there is no switching to iced coffee in the summer. You guys see this, hopefully? So I've got it lined up. I get the ferrule. I make a quick pre-pass with the brush just to make sure that I'm in the right spot. This is probably going to be too dry, and it is. So I got to palette the brush again. The hardest part about this isn't doing the line, it's paleting the brush to the right consistency, because you want the paint to come off the brush, but you also don't want it to flood off the brush. So like that. See, that's too much, but I'll make it work. And I always make a pass before the pass so that I make sure that I'm lined up. So, and then I was just about to talk and I screwed that line up. Damn it. I should just shut my mouth. Someone had asked on one of the videos if I use a mahl stick. This is essentially it's essentially the mahl stick idea. All right, so I'll fix that other one in a second, but we'll get the rest of them in now. So I've just moved the ruler so that I'm lined up for the next pass. I'm also not worried about, I'll show you, I'll shade this in a second too. That one's kind of off. Did I put that in the wrong spot? No. Good. Okay. So that's actually the hard part. Now the horizontal lines are the hard ones. The vertical ones, they're short enough that I can just paint them in. And then what I'm going to do, so I'll paint all these in first, and then I'll clean up anything that needs to be cleaned up, and which basically means I'll straighten out the little black rectangles in between. I feel like you should be able to see that last one there a little bit more. Yeah, you do that. Cody Adams, what's up? Astral, what's happening? Yay. Good group today. Yeah, exactly. So Marge and I were having a conversation the other night while I was finishing up working, and it was that I'm sure every car person, or not even car person, I'm sure everyone's had the conversation. It's like, okay, if you had all the money, like what would you have in your garage? And it sounds like a easy question, but it really isn't. So I've narrowed it pretty much down. Like, I think what I would do is I would have a convertible for the summer, and if I'm going to do that, I'd probably end up rebuying that late, the 65 or 66 Mustang. It would be a convertible though this time. I had a hardtop before. There's more lines in here than I missed. The other thing I need, because we live in Northeast Ohio, I need something that's relatively good in the winter to drive around. So I think my daily driver would be some sort of SUV type thing, maybe BMW, I think. And then the fun car, well, not that the Mustang isn't fun, but like the fun muscle car, that's the tough one, because I think I'd want to like find another Riviera like my dad had. But I'm not sure, because I've always wanted a GTO and I've never had one. So that would be fun for like a crazy muscle car. Honey, what's up? And then, somewhere along the line, I mean, I need to own a Ferrari. I just, they've been, as most people, they've been a passion for so long. If I had all the money, there would be some sort of Ferrari in there. And I don't know which one. I would, that's the toughest thing. All right, let's do the bottom of this. So while I'm doing this and I can't really talk, you guys can give me your lists. Anything Volkswagen? Yes. Which, JC, there's so many options there. I mean, you can go in so many different ways. Like, you could have an entire VW collection, from the Bug to the van. You just go nuts. There's a neighbor, not really a neighbor, because we live, where we live, and there's no one's really close. But there's a guy up the street that has a bunch of, you can tell he's a Beetle guy. He's got a bunch of them, and they're all different years, and they're just kind of hanging out. GT40, yeah, that would be amazing, Simon. There's a good argument for that. Yeah, Simon. I will tip my hand to one of the paintings this week. The 543s is the Lotus Super 7, and as I'm working on that painting, I'm like, oh, this would be a lot of fun too. But again, if you had all the money, then you could get everything. You could have, the Jay Leno garage, or a Bugatti. Yeah, see, Astral. That, you would need all the money for that. And not just because the car is what it is. And it's what, $3 million, I think, US, somewhere in there. But, I've seen some horror videos of like people who own them who are like scraping up the bottom trying to get into a driveway that they shouldn't be getting into. And so you'd need all the money just to operate the thing. But holy crap, that would be great. All right, so again, did the horizontals and now the verticals. So This is going to be shaded. It's going to have, some black airbrushed on top of it, which is why I'm leaving out some of the uprights and horizontals. All right, that looks good. Thanks, James. Thanks, honey. All right, so a little bit of black here. I still have that on? Yeah, good. All right, so black. So now what I can do is now I can take care of any of the areas that kind of got gummed up that are going to show, like like the whiskey dent. We don't really want that. So it's just a matter of painting in reverse, essentially. There's too much paint on there, which is okay, because then I just end up reshaping the rectangle in between where it needs to be kind of cleaned up a little bit, and it's pretty much good to go. Yeah, I got a little bit of double line here that I don't like. 58 Apache 3. Oh, that's awesome, JC. Yep. So, and then I would love to get a bike for here. So that would be fun too. The riding out here, I haven't been all over yet, but it's pretty well laid out around here, and there are a lot of bikers, so that's a good sign because people are usually pretty on board with, or know what's going on. So makes it a nice place to ride if you get a lot of bikers around, and it does seem like that. $10 million. See, that's the same thing, Simon. Like, if I had a $10 million car, I mean, there is the argument, like, why do you have a car unless you drive it? But still, there are some things that if you have them, that you need to just put them away. I watched this video. I love watching watch repair videos. It's kind of a weird hobby of mine on the side, not repairing watches, but just watching them. And you watch people, you do these like super rare $100,000 watches, and it's like, okay, so if that got fixed, there's no way you put that on and you're like whatever, but you're not wearing that to the movies, just like too much could go wrong. So that is most lovely. I can be happy with that. Yeah, and that's exactly it, Simon. We're talking about that with someone. Who was I talking to about that? But yeah, you have a car like that. You're going to bring it out to dinner. First of all, you're going to valet park it. You're going to let someone, get in your Veyron and park it. Probably not. And then even if you do, someone like rolls or opens a door into it, or I don't know. Like I said, you need all the money. You need to not have to care. Like, oh look, I have a ding in my Bugatti, so I'll just end up spending the $10,000 to have it fixed. All right, so I've got all that in. Now I'm going to just kind of take the curse off the paintbrush work. So we put the grill piece back on and put all the shading on this, and then the grill will be done. And that's a big part. The grill is usually takes the longest to do. Welcome back. Yeah, I like being monetized, but the ads are not as much fun. So, and you get the creator gets so little of that. It's not fun. So I will promise you guys one thing though. I follow a lot of creators, and one thing that I really love is the creators that don't take like sponsorships. I like that they allow the viewers essentially to sponsor them, and that means there's no like Raycon and NordVPN breaks in the middle of all this stuff. So I will always do that. I mean, I shouldn't say that. if a very specific company wants to sponsor a video like Createx or Iwata or Grex or whatever, I will definitely do something like that because it makes sense. But there won't be any random Play Shadow. What is it? The shit. What's the name of the video game that sponsors everyone? Oh, that's good. Okay. Back to reality. We're driving on a Chevy Ford Toyota. Exactly. But, that's the fun part about it too. There's cars are so much fun now too that it makes it a lot of fun to drive just about everything. All right, so there's the grill done. So you see how like the shading kind of like ties it together and blends out some of the areas that I left out on purpose. So it's the same kind of thing. It just works out really well that way. All right, so let's keep going. If you guys are into it, I'm just going to work on this till it's done. So this is what I'm doing this afternoon anyway. So if you guys want to hang out, if you can, that's great, and we'll get this done. So it's a little bit of what we were just doing from here on out. It's a little bit of paintbrush work, and then some airbrushing on it, and just kind of run it down until it's done. Good, awesome, Simon. It finally, not finally, but it warmed up a little bit here. It was actually really getting down there in temperature. It was in the teens the last couple nights, which is fine because it's it's almost December or whatever. But it's nice when it pops back up into the 50s around here. I do like. I do love the weather here so far, and I say that because we haven't gotten blasted yet, but last year, listening to all my relatives back in New England talk about all the snow they got and how crazy it was, and I took out the snowblower here once just because I wanted to run it. I needed to run it, so I do like that. Oh, nice. See, you were only an hour away, Simon, when you were here, but I probably wasn't here when you were here, unless it was within 3 years ago. Yeah, exactly, Astral. That's exactly what to do. But I mean, I don't know. It's a life that I don't understand either. So, I mean, the people who own vehicles like that and actually drive them around, like we were saying, they're not going to Target, So the restaurants they go to, they probably can let the valet take care of it because their car may not be the most expensive car there. All right, so the chevron here is pretty much in the shadow of the nose. So there's not going to be too much that needs to be done to it. The Chevrolet across, though, that's a different deal. That seems to be lit up. So let me think about that for a second while I work on other stuff. 2013. Okay. Yes, I was New Englanding it out back then in 2013. My daughter had just graduated from high school the year before, so I was a resident. All right. I really should get rid of that so I don't have to think about it anymore. Yeah. Okay. Actually, I'll be in Cleveland this weekend. Yeah, Cleveland's about an hour and 15 minutes north of where we live. So it's nice. We are below the... Cleveland is right on Lake Erie. And they get a bunch of snow just from the fact that they're sitting right on the lake. So we're just south enough that we don't get any of that either. So it's a nice area. We're about an hour and change from Pittsburgh too, in the other direction. Yeah, it's a nice spot. I am close to Steve Chizeka. Steve lives over near Youngstown. And I know if you're a regular on Monday night, you've seen Bob O'Malley. So Bob lives pretty close too. All right. Yeah, I'm specifically avoiding that. All right, let's put the Chevrolet in because that's the only part left that's really kind of cranky. So I want to make sure that I get this correct. So I think what we're going to do is I'm going to use a template and spray this in just to make my life easier. Oops, I'm dropping stuff. All right. Will the plate be personalized? Gary, just send me a message on what you want on the plate. I will definitely do that for you. You can do whatever you want. All right, so for the Chevrolet here, so again, what I need to do is I need to figure out or show myself where different things are on this. So I'm going to cut the bottom line because that really shows, the whole thing. And then I'll cut the top of the C, the upright of the H, maybe the uprights of the E, same thing with the V, just kind of poking the knife in, and the R too, and all of them really. So what I'm doing is I'm just spacing out the letters for myself. There's the L, E, and the T. So what I got, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but you'll be able to see it when I spray it. But there it is right there. So again, it gives me that guide to work from. Now, the other big thing with this, and I talk about this a lot, with paintings and making things look real and all that fun stuff. Everyone knows what this says. You've seen enough of these cars. You know it says Chevrolet. However, your brain is filling the gaps a lot of what's really going on there. So I don't have to literally spell out every letter. I just have to get those little markers in that will do the same thing for the viewer, that will just kind of let them fill in the gaps. If I spell it all out, if I I know it says Chevrolet, if I write that all out, it's going to stick out like a sore thumb, like it's not real, because we really can't see what's really going on there. All right. So same deal with the lettering that I just did with the grill. I'm going to just kind of spray the white through that, and that will be what it is. Oh, yeah, yes, of course, Gary. I forgot about that. I shouldn't have forgot about that. So Keith lives over near Youngstown as well. So I get to see him a bunch, too. The Youngstown Harley-Davidson, he is a regular fixture there. They have adopted him, and it's a great place. So it's a lot of fun hanging around with him there. So what I'm doing is I'm just aiming straight at this template, and you can't see it because of the palette cam, but I'm just rocking the trigger back and forth a little bit to get paint to kind of pulse out onto that. And the cuts in this are a lot closer, so I don't have to worry about the same underspray that was going on with the other thing. You would mix up a Chevy with a Corvette? No. Well, I mean, Corvette is a Chevy, but I know what you're saying. The Bel Air with the Corvette, yeah. This year, in 57, yeah, the Corvette was a completely different idea, as it usually is. All right, so it neat how, just with that, it almost you can tell what it is now, because what we've done is we just kind of painted in the highlights, which is great. So what I'm going to do is there are two things that I'm going to do to make this work. So there is a kind of a drop shadow around all this because they're actually an emblem that's sticking on the car. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the emblem. So I'm going to grab some black, and actually I'm going to make a little bit of gray. Unlike a 543, which this is not, I would usually make up a gray for 543s. I just use the black, but this one is not a 543. So I'll mix up a kind of a dark gray, and then I'll start painting in the remainders of the letters, the parts that are missing. This will make sense in a second, I think. I hope for you guys. So it's, again, it's not, I'm not spelling the letters, I'm just adding little bits of where they, you know, where you would see the shadow, and there we go. L. You could tell I'm a Brit. I love it. Oh, Stingray. I know I still have a hard time saying Jaguar. You're right on that one, because the U is there. I get it. But I can't. All right, so same thing with the chevron here. I'm going to use the gray to kind of put the details around that too. So interestingly enough, on the other Chevy, on the other Bel Air that I was taking pictures of, which I've used that car a lot for paintings too, that the owner doesn't have the logo or the chevron on the front of it. So I always leave it off on when I'm using this reference photo. And he also has, you know, custom wheels on his too. So I just, you know, I like the way that, you know, every person kind of has a different take on what they need to do to their car to make it their own. So, yeah, I mean, I certainly do that when I'm doing a painting for someone. If it's someone's car, it's exactly like their car. But whenever I do a painting from just a random reference photo, I still try to keep it the same as what that original owner had thought was the right thing to do for it. All right, so highlights on the letters, and that's done. But it's amazing, you know, with that little guide, how the little letters now look correct. You know what I mean? They're not like, you know, I wasn't guessing basically where they go. And whenever I guess, I always get it wrong. So what I'm doing is now I'm just kind of bumping up the where the highlights would be. That's the R, and then the O. And again, I'm saying the letters, but I'm not spelling them out. Perfect. That works. All right, that's the hard part. Let's do since we're doing emblems, we'll do the Chevy emblem down here. This is black. Oh, thanks, Astral. You're awesome. Thank you. It's so funny that whole lettering thing we just did, you know, being someone who loves painting photorealistically or just in a realist style, you get a lot of crap for that from people who are more like, who are looking for brush strokes and everything, you know, they want to see the artist's hand and that kind of thing, like, you know, like, oh, you know, I want the viewer to be able to do a lot of the work when they look at the painting, you know, connect the dots themselves. What people don't realize with this kind of work, you're still doing that. It's still, you're not painting everything, because if you did, it wouldn't look real. It wouldn't look like it really should. So even though it's highly like focused and it seems like I'm giving all the information, I'm really not. It's just hyper refined. So, thanks, honey. You know what I mean, though? So that Chevy is a perfect example of that. It looks like it's like, you know, all painted in, but it's really not. If I zoomed in harder on that, it's not even the letters, you know? Just a lot of fun. A lot of fun. So, you know, I just kind of, what I used to do is I used to have a painting queued up so that when I would get that point of view from someone, I would show them like a microscopic version, close-up of a painting of mine. Usually the cityscapes are good because they're really suggestive when you get really close. And it looks like an abstract painting up close. But, as soon as you get like 2 inches away, all that starts to blend together and you're off to the races. So it's funny because, like I said, it really is the same thing as what they were just talking about. Just it's so small, it's so refined that you don't really see it. All right. We are motoring. Yeah, so Gary, I will leave that license plate. I'm probably going to throw the first coat of clear on it today. So you can get to me anytime, and I will put whatever you want on the plate. Just kind of let me know like what style of plate, if you want just a regular, blank plate with some letters on it or numbers, or if you wanted like a specific state and year like we did on your other one. I can do whatever you need. What I'm thinking about doing too, no, I'm not going to do that. What I was going to do was put like a crazy full boat painting on one of these tins, but the tins are good, but they're not super heavy duty. So I'm afraid that if I put like a amazingly super duty painting on it, the substrate itself isn't good enough for that. So, oh yeah, Simon, absolutely. It's something that you'll never feel like you get totally down. I certainly don't. I love the compliments mean the world to me, but I see stuff in my paintings all the time that I'm like, So I don't think you ever, like, it's funny when I talk to people who are like down on their own work, I'm like, well, if you can't take it, then you need to stop now, because if you do it right, you're never going to feel like your stuff is where it should be. You're always going to feel like, there's something else to do, or someone did something, better, or the way you wanted to do it. And it never stops. Again, if you do it right, that feeling never goes away. And it's what drives you to be better. And that's, as soon as it does go away, then you're in trouble. If you're sitting there thinking, yeah, you know what? This is the shit. I got this down. Then, now you can quit. No state, initials, birthday, use judgment lettering. Okay, good. What I'll do is I'll do a 57 style plate because the numbers on those are cool. And we'll get that done. That's good. I'm glad you're here, Gary, because that way I can really knock that out. The clear I've been using is the car rip clear, and I think I mentioned it on one of the feeds. I kind of figured out what I was not doing correctly. I give it a lot more time to cure now before I start, sanding and buffing. It says within 8 hours, and then certainly within 24 hours, but I've been giving it a few days to really cure up, and it's made the world of difference. So the goal of the perfect painting is lost with the first stroke. That's so true, Simon. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I know. I mean, I like I said, I still go through it. I see like someone, do something, and I'm like, holy crap. Like it's like totally back to the drawing board. You know what I mean? And I love that. When I see someone pull off something that's mind blowing, and trust me, there's always, like, I don't care where you're at in doing this, especially with the internet. Excuse me. There's always someone. You're like, wait, what? How do you do that? So, yeah. Just stay in your lane, like I keep telling everyone, just let it inspire you. Let it piss you off. That's the best thing that could happen. It's like, oh my gosh, I don't even keep up with that. But that's really what's going to keep you going. And trust me, I don't care where you're at. There are people who look at your stuff and say exactly the same thing as what you're saying about other people's stuff. It is an endless continuum, for sure. Dan, I love Dan. Yeah, it's not surprising if that came from him. Oops. I can fix that. I can fix that. Circles. Circles. Always fun. Such a pretty car. All right. Yeah, I gotta fix that. Let's we're gonna do a little bit more with the white, and then I'll fix everything that I just did. Yeah, Simon, Dean. I'm sorry, Dean. That sounds like a very Dan Powery thing to say. And yeah, I did notice. I mean, Gary's that bright green in his name, and he's got the little logo next to him. So thank you to all the people who have chosen to become members here. That's what directly drives all this, being a member, and any of the super chats that have come along. If you want to support what I do here for free, it's gigantic if you click that like button and then you subscribe if you're not subscribed. YouTube loves its algorithm, just like every social media site, and you guys interacting, especially in a like or a comment way, really do help things out around here. So I totally appreciate it. A Hot Rod 57 would be on my shopping list. Yeah, Simon, that would be something. And then, so I think I mentioned this a bunch of times before too. My dad used to have a 1953 Studebaker Commander, and it's the car he met my mother with, because part of the car fell out of it while he was working on it and smashed his face. So when he was in the hospital, my mom was his nurse, so that's how they met. So I would always, I would love to get one of those too. Cool looking car, very cool. Way ahead of its time. Like if you look at other 53s models or models from 53, the Commander looks like it's 10 years ahead of its time. It's a neat car. I've never seen one up like for real, but I know they're floating around. Ultimately, it would have been awesome to, do that before he passed, but Astral, no. He had gotten rid of that before I was a thought. My dad is, he was a car guy, and so we never really had cars for very long before he got bored and moved on to the next one. So we've had some fun stuff. I wish I could, like everyone, which is a lot of the drive of what I do. Everyone says, "Oh, I wish I had that car back." So it's the drive for me is to be able to paint something of that car that you loved so much, and that's been a lot of fun. So. Yeah, he was. It really did. It screwed up his eye pretty bad, but it was worth it. It's amazing that he wasn't blind in that eye. He always told the story that it was part of the transmission, or it was the entire transmission. I don't know, but yeah, we were just talking about that because when my dad was kind of like cleaning house, like when he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it took a while to kind of take hold of him. So in the beginning, he was just kind of taking inventory of some of his things, and he made sure he passed on some of the things that were important to him to the four of us. I have two brothers and a sister. So he was, and then, no, we're not talking about big things. We're just talking about things that meant something to him along the way. So one of the things he gave to me, he had 3 plastic model kits, 2 Rivieras, which he owned a 65 Riviera too, and then the Commander. So he had these model kits that he never put together. And so I knew about them. I remember seeing them growing up. And so he gave those to me. So I have those here. I immediately when I got them, I said, I'll never build these. But, the longer I have them now, I'm like, I don't know that, maybe I should build them. I don't know. We'll see. You're not even swimming yet? No, JC, I was not even on the radar when he had that car. He then got a Plymouth convertible, which my dad was like the guy who would adopt the ugliest animal in the pound and then love the crap out of them. That's how he was with cars too. So he would buy the worst car in the worst shape, and then he'd just spend all his time fixing it, and that's what he did. So the Riviera was not like that. The Riviera was a really nice car. In fact, I feel guilty that all of us kids were really the reason he got rid of it. We needed something bigger, so he ended up trading it in for a station wagon, and I remember crying when he did. So even back then I knew. No, I can't see that comment. Yeah, no, that's pretty rough. It would not surprise me if not. I mean, the way I feel about cars, it would not surprise me if I was like, that was part of my pre-alive upbringing, but I don't think so. I don't think that's how that happened. Dad, if that, all right, so let's say this. My dad, if that was a thing, he would have told me. He would have, somewhere along the line, he would have said, hey, guess what? You were conceived in the back of the Plymouth or whatever. But no, I don't think I was. So the convertible, I've done paintings of that car too, his Plymouth. And it was bright yellow convertible, and that ended up, they were driving down to Maryland to visit his brother who lived down there, my uncle who's the artist. So they were on their way down to Maryland, and the thing caught on fire. And the story is, my mom's like, do you smell that? It smells like something's burning. And my dad's like, oh, no, it's just the truck ahead of us. Turns out the car was on fire and ended up, totaling. And that was it. So. Oh, my dad. And it was a string of those cars, like my brother's car. My brother had an old Plymouth, and drove it until the rear end of it fell out on the highway. So my poor brother called my dad and said, hey, yeah, something's wrong with the car. And meanwhile, there was like no rear wheels. So I think he was proud of me when I got my first car, because my first car was equally as big a piece of shit, even though, like I said, it was a Mustang, but man, did that need a ton of work. But it meant every Saturday after that we were outside working on it, which was, I'll never trade that. I'm super happy that worked out the way that it worked out. Changing spark plugs with him and doing all that fun stuff. Yeah, Simon, back when I was, a puppy or pre-puppy, all the cars were gigantic, so there's plenty of room to get into trouble in the back seat. Nowadays, though, exactly, in the back of a Mini Cooper with a sunroof, so legs were sticking out of the sunroof, I'm sure. That's awesome. To do your driving in a Mini Cooper, that's a pretty good way to get things done. So I think I'll do, actually, it's funny, I heard, like I know Tony D wants the one I just showed you, the other tin. I gotta gauge the interest in these. So I don't want to do a whole bunch of them. And if I do more, just so everyone knows, who are like Gary, obviously he's got this one, they'll all be different. So you're not going to have to worry about getting like a cookie cutter, someone else has the same one as you. I'm going to do, like I said, I have several photos of the 57, this 57, so. Nice. That was half the fun, socializing in your car as a teenager. All right, so the bottom of the bumperette, it's all white here, but it's at the bottom of the bumperette. So I got to do that. 57 rear view painting. Yeah, Gary, that's probably what I'll end up doing if I end up doing another one. Since I've got two front ends, I'll do one tail side. Again, these tins are nice, but they're Amazon. They're not super nice. So I don't want to put a 20-hour painting on them. It's not the right substrate for that. All right, so the bumperette has is this going to be too dark? No, it's perfect. So the bumperette has just gray on the bottom, where you can see that, and then it kind of heads out the rest of the way. Yeah, the 57 is crazy. The other thing I might do, I might mix it up though. So I've done two of these tins now with the 57. I may do a Cadillac. I haven't painted a Cadillac in a while. And what made me think of it is Gary talking about, you not be used. Yeah, that's the thing. They're pretty thin, so I mean, I think they would get dented if they're like, but I mean, they're also not $1,000, so you can use it and be okay with it. What was I saying? Cadillacs. Yeah, that might be fun to do. Do an old Cadillac. Just gotta do headlights. I do headlights. Yeah, I'll do headlights and then I'll do the wheel. This is really coming together. Oh, I didn't finish that. You guys still got, yeah, you still got that on. Okay. So the top of the bumper is, or the bottom of the bumper is here. Or it's not really well, it is the bumper, but it's like a bullet-shaped part that kind of bumps out from the rest of the bumper, which attaches then to the little bumperette. Oh, I forgot the stars, or the whatever those are, and the logo. There's a lot of this too, working kind of fast. You end up missing some things, so it's nice to be able to, like if I notice something, I'll immediately go and grab it, because if I forgot it once, I'll forget it again. And I don't want to, get to the point where, I've gotten through the whole thing and then, I missed it. Okay, that's good. Since I got the gray, let's do that. Maybe I'll finish this bottom corner. I'll do the wheel. Like I said, it doesn't really matter if you're bouncing around, but again, I just don't want to forget stuff. Here we go. Aw, honey, I'll do whatever you want. Oh yeah, no kidding, Gary. For all the cars, like the 57, when I paint a 57, no matter what it is, it always usually goes, just because the car is so popular. The 63 split window, every time I do something with that, it goes right away. So that's an excellent idea too. And that's the other thing. A Corvette should be on that list of stuff that I want because I've always wanted a Corvette since I was, I don't know, old enough to know. However, I've told this story before. I'm not a small human. I'm just about 6'3", and most Corvettes I do not fit into. So I could buy them, but I would not fit in them. So, which is makes me sad. I still haven't sat in a brand new one though. I think the new ones are probably more accommodating than the old ones. But yeah, I mean I've sat in just about all of them, 50s era, 60s, and I don't fit in any of them. And there's not much you can do either because the seat's pretty much right back against the back. I did a great painting of a couple on a beach, and the shadow was at 90 degrees to the sun. Nice. Oh, nice. And that's so true, Astro. Absolutely. I love someone looking at, what I'm doing because you always pick up other things that, you just didn't see. A fire truck. Yeah, that would be awesome too, honey. Paint started with bright red. All right, wheel time. We'll do the wheel. I still got to do the little rockets on the top, and then I got to do the windscreen. Yeah, let's get the wheel out of the way. Move this back over here because I can't see what I'm doing. That's better. So now I can see it. Yeah, so this car is the same car as the car that's in your painting. There's a kind of a greenish, the other one is like kind of a greenish, blackish color, sort of. This one was the red one. And I got this photo from the Gillette Stadium every other Thursday, I think, in the summertime. Gillette Stadium has a big cruise night. It's huge. So I got this one with that. And again, I didn't get the owner. I didn't talk to him. Didn't even see him. Just grabbed the photo. So there is someone around here though. I see him drive by a lot. He has a 57, another red 57, and he's always rolling around here. I see him driving up and down. There's like a main road, and I see him out there all the time. So I just got to find the other cruise nights that are around this area. There's an old, someone has a late 50s Corvette too. I think it's a 59. And he's always driving around too. And then my neighbor has a brand new red Corvette, which is a beautiful car too. It's very, a lot of people give the brand new Corvettes a lot of shade because they've changed them so much. But, in one side of it, everyone's always complaining that, the Corvette, even though it's not inexpensive, it's still like the inexpensive supercar. But then they'll complain that, it's made out of fiberglass and it's, not well made or whatever. So the moment that Chevy decides to like ramp it all up and make it a mid-engine supercar, everyone's like, oh, I like the old one. So I just, that's okay. It's okay with me as long as I keep producing them. And they don't make an SUV and call it a Corvette like they did with the Mustang. What the actual hell? Simon, welcome to What Could Go Wrong. Here we go. So I can't wait. Once I get to the next, once I have enough members, they then allow me to open up more emojis. They only gave me like a few of them to start. So they do all that by the number of members you have. But I have all kinds of emojis that I'm, special emojis, what could go wrong emojis that I want to put out there as soon as we get enough members. So thank you, Simon. You're helping the cause. Gary, you got the nub guitar. Dude, that's awesome. Oh, and it's so good. Like the charities, and oh, that's awesome. That guitar, I mean, I don't know if you play guitar, Gary, but for what it is, it's. We were talking about it when I was over there. When I stopped in a few weeks ago, the guitar really plays well. So, I mean, now obviously certainly the artwork is what makes it, but yeah, not a bad guitar at all. Oh, thanks, Simon. That's a huge way. Like I said earlier, that's gigantic. Like I said, the goal is to not have sponsors and all that other crazy stuff that people do with their channels. My goal is to just have it member supported, kind of like PBS, but in a more crazy way. Michael, there you go. How's it going, buddy? All right, so the oh, honey, come on, thanks. You guys are awesome. Headlights. Let's do the headlights. So the headlights here, I should have airbrushed this, but it's okay that I didn't. Gary, thank you. You guys are amazing. So I could airbrush the headlights, the gray parts, but this in the photo they're really kind of sharp. The reflections that are going on in here. So I'm going to paintbrush them in, and it'll give them more of a realistic look. If they're sometimes, especially because these headlights are really like large compared to some of the paintings that I do, so you can really see in them. So with the airbrush, it works out really well with the airbrush when you do the quick highlights or the quick headlights, because you can just kind of fog this in and then it looks good. But this needs a little bit more because you can actually see what's going on. Yeah, but I'm glad, honey. I'm glad you got one of the panels. I was telling Marge about that. That is Nub. That's he's just a great guy overall. So for him to do that for Giving Tuesday was amazing. Maston, what's up, buddy? So yeah, so Tony D won the giveaway a couple of weeks ago, and then he was just talking about grabbing that other tin, the one I just showed you. So I'll probably finish clearing that and then send both of those out together if he still wants it. If he doesn't want it, I will put that up on the site, the other tin. All right, so that's the first part with that. We're going to let that gray dry. All right, the gray is dry. So is it dry though? Well, this one's probably dry. So what I'll do now is I'll put the little lines in it. So I'll start with white. Actually, I'll just need to use white on this. It won't be that crazy. So, and this is what I mean. Like on a 543, you're not going to see this stuff here. It's just not going to show up because it's too small. But on this painting, you really can make it out. So make sure we get everything in the way it should be. Lovely. You can also see why it's okay to, like to mix up the paintbrush with the airbrush here, because the white lines are kind of obscuring some of that gray. Blends it in. Great. You can't even see the lines on the other one, so I'm not going to put them in. Again, the the temptation is I've done them all here. I had a lot of fun doing them. It makes it look great. So I'll just put them in this one too, but you can't see them in the photograph. So got to leave them out. Because if I put them in, it's going to make it look like I'm forcing it, you know? Michael's hunting again. Oh, Michael. We went for a walk here. There's an abandoned railroad track like up the street from us. And so we were walking along the track. What I did not realize was that people were using it for hunting. So, you know, it's me, Marge, and the two girls. This is 2 years ago. And we're like walking through the woods on the tracks, you know, talking, having a good time. This poor guy comes out in complete, you know, hunting gear. And he's like, we're trying to hunt here. I felt so bad. And Marge is a hunter, so she felt even worse. But he was very, very cool. He's like, well, I guess I'm done for today. We'll let this place settle down and come back. And that was it, so. He was even funny because on the way out, we're walking out and we're back out on the street, and he drove by and he stopped. He pulled over because that's what people are like around here. They're cool. So even though we ruined his afternoon, he's like, oh yeah, if you want a good place to walk, and he gave us this this trail that's nearby, you know, that's made for like walking and just hanging out. And I'm like, okay, thanks. Have a nice day. I felt like shit. Like, damn. Scaring all the deer away. Like I said, he was very cool, though. And, you know, he had weapons, so he could have, like, you know, he dropped us. No one would ever find us out there, so he was very nice. Poaching, yeah. Yeah, no, they do. What's funny, Astral, that's true. They are super, like, strict about their hunting and the hunting seasons and everything here, which is one of the things we were talking about with him again, because he was great. He was like, once we ruined his afternoon, he was like, oh, let me hang out and talk with you guys. So Marge and him were talking about, you know, the hunting season and where it was in the season, because you can bow hunt a lot longer than you can hunt with a gun around here. So we're talking about that. And actually, with the deer here, there's so many of them. The hunters are actually doing a service by hunting them. So, yeah. All right. So I'm talking. I'm not even paying attention to, you know, letting you guys know. But you guys get the idea. I'm just kind of filling in the gaps, putting those details in where they need them, and then just, you know, continuing on. So now I'm on the bottom of the windscreen here. We are almost done, though. We're almost there. So it's coming out. It's coming out just fine. And I love Gary, so I'm putting a little bit of extra in this one because Gary is awesome, and as you all are who hang out with me and do fun stuff. Thanks, Michael. Yeah. But this is good. I'll be able to I got to scroll back to see the number again and the initials for the license plate, but I'll do that before we finish up. What's going on there? Oh, that's a dash. I'm like, whoa, what did I miss? That was close. I'm like, oh no, what did I do there? Yeah, and then Marge grew up in northern Wisconsin, where they take their hunting very seriously. So, and you know, she's native. She's part native. Her dad was on her dad's side. So yeah, so they take their hunting seriously. So that's again why Marge felt extra bad that we ruined this guy's afternoon. Lovely. So, did I just do all that off the camera? Hopefully not. Good. Oh, God, yeah. Gary's art collection. Jeez Louise. That is going to be a good day. If he gets to the point where he can have some sort of show. I've known Gary mostly originally through his friendship with LaValle, with Mike LaValle. I knew he had a lot of Mike's work, and then when Mike untimely passed away, it was just awesome that Gary had such a good representation of his work. So yeah, Gary's got, and he's got a lot of art from a lot of artists. So yeah, his collection is amazing. All right. Speaking of Gary, let's I'm gonna scroll back real quick and see if I can get what I'm putting on this thing. Gary, where are you, buddy? Where are you, Gary? Oh no, it wasn't that far back. GT40 talk. Cleveland talk. There we go. Found it. Okay. Oh shoot! I put all my. Oh man. All right. I may not be able to do the license plate with you guys. So I'm in the process of Wait, what happened? Michael, thank you, buddy. Oh man, that's awesome, dude. I'm in the process of getting ready to rip apart the studio, and so I'm basically packing everything up. And I have a great collection of license plates, and I put them all away. So I was going to grab one and then do the license plate for you guys, but I got to go find the box those are in and pull them out again. So we won't do that. But anyway, so what I'm going to do is I have a 57 plate, and I'll use that as a guide, and then just put Gary's numbers on here. But I'll do that after, so you don't have to wait for me to go through boxes. I'm really excited about kind of revamping the studio area here and adding more. Adding an area just for this, the live streaming stuff. So with that said, we're pretty much there. We're I'll make that darker. No, I'm not gonna do that. All right, so let's sign it. Let's do it. I clear it with you guys, but I can't because I'll kill myself because it's a solvent-based clear. So we don't want to do that in here. But it's going to take, what it's going to have 3 coats of clear, and then that'll give me enough clear that I can sand and polish it, so it'll be super glassy smooth. All right, so let's sign this thing. Astral, you're awesome. Thanks for jumping in. I should be more consistent with my signatures. Like I started signing the 543s like just a regular signature, but any of the paintings have always been, just like my name written out. But I should have some sort of consistency, like choose one or the other. It's just I started signing the other ones because the 543s just seemed more casual, so they didn't need the super, detailed signature, I guess. Thanks, JC. All right. And thank you all again for hanging out yesterday for the premiere. Those open studios now are going to be on Wednesday nights at 8 every week. So I'm definitely going to change it to premieres on all those. Because that was a lot of fun, hanging out with everyone, and we all had a blast. So it's going to be a good way to do it. I don't need that anymore. So there it is. My 57 tin, which is really steel. Oh man! So yeah, the only thing I have left to do now is to just to paint in Gary's license plate. But again, I'll do that after, and then once it's all cleared and everything, then I'll post it again. Maybe post the two of them together. So we'll see how that goes. All right. So let me switch you back over to the other one. Thank you, you guys. You guys are crazy. I love you guys. Yeah, so amazing. Thank you for the super chat. You guys are crazy awesome. Welcome our new What Could Go Wrong member. The rest of the way out, there's nothing going on tomorrow online. But Monday, I'll have all 5 new 543s. I don't know what I'm working on Monday. So if you have an idea, you can send me a message. I'll definitely come up with something, though, before Monday. And then everything else is regular. So we'll got all that going on. If you are a member on the Patreon, I'm finishing up, or not finishing up, but it's getting close. The open studio that Patreon members get. And then I'm going to start the brand new painting with them as well. So if you want an extra open studio every week and you want to support what I'm doing here, if you join Patreon, you get that video each week. That drops on Friday. So that's what's going on. Other than that, that's what I got. So thank you all. You guys are amazing. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for your support. You guys are crazy and I love you. And I will catch you guys on Monday. So have a good weekend and I will talk to you later. Hopefully this is the right button. Is that the right button? I don't know. It wasn't even the right button.